makes you think a lot different about what you think courage is.
When it hits home, it is a shock. It's hard reality.
If I lose that house, I don't know what I'll do. It's just my worst fear.
The news at 5 starts right now. Good Monday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janelle Wang.
And I'm Raj Mathai. We have some key updates on the evacuations, the air quality, and also what's happening with the Republican National Convention. Jessica Aguirre is also with us.
Raj and Janelle, what makes the CZU fire burning in San Mateo counties and Santa Cruz County so different than the other 600 fires burning throughout the state? Well, coming up, I'm going to tell you what the governor thinks is partly responsible for that inferno.
We'll see you shortly. And speaking of that fire, let's take a live look now from our NBC Bay Area Sky Ranger. This is that CZU lightning complex fire burning in San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties. And you can just see the smoke down below. And of course, that smoke is spreading across the Bay Area and into Santa Cruz, depending on the wind direction. And we'll get to Jeff Ranieri to find out the wind issues here. This is right over San Gregorio, so near the coastline in San Mateo County. That's the vantage point we're looking at. We'll take a look above now, that CZU lightning complex. That CAL FIRE tweeted this video over the Pescadero Creek area in San Mateo County. And again, you can see that smoke coming from those trees there, Janelle.
Yeah, Raj, we're also tracking the 2 other complex fires in the Bay Area. Take a look at where they are burning. The LNU complex fires in the North Bay. It's tearing through Napa, Sonoma, and Solano counties. And the SCU complex fire is burning in Contra Costa, Alameda, and Santa Clara counties. All 3 complex fires together, they're forcing tens of thousands of evacuations, and for everyone else, just downright dangerous air quality conditions. They continue. This is a live picture over Fremont from one of our HD Sky cameras, and you can see it's just blanketed in smoke.
So far, that fire in San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties has scorched 78,000 acres, destroyed more than 230 structures, and claimed the life of a 70-year-old man near Davenport. That fire continues to devastate so many of our mountain communities. Some in the Bonnie Doon area say that CAL FIRE has not done enough to save their homes, and some are now ignoring evacuation orders to protect their own property. This could be a slippery slope here. Let's bring in NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favreau in Santa Cruz for us with the details. Marianne.
Raj, I'm here on Empire Grade. You can see the blockade behind me. The fire is actually burning up the hill several miles. Now, we went into the community of Bonnie Doon today and talked to several residents, and they told us that they felt like they were left to fend for themselves. A trail of devastation in Bonnie Doon. Flames ripped through this area, destroying everything in its path. But some here chose to stay and fight, even after being ordered to get out. Jamerson Patori was able to save her house and is keeping a close eye on flare-ups today, but she's frustrated with CAL FIRE's response.
They could have saved a lot of this community, and they abandoned us. And I don't know why.
Specifically, she's frustrated that fire crews told her they had no water, yet she says they refused to tie in to a working hydrant on her property. George Sam has the same complaint. He says fire crews would not hook up to this hydrant.
That fire hydrant has 15,000 gallons of water against it, right? They would not hook up to it.
Patori says neighbors were forced to fend for themselves, so they turned pickups into water trucks as they worked to protect homes with shovels and garden hoses. We reached out to CAL FIRE to ask why crews didn't use home hydrants. The agency says hand crews are not trained to do water fights and may not have had the hoses or adjusters to tap into home hydrants. Also, CAL FIRE leaders say the first night they only had 15 engines and were outgunned by Mother Nature, so they were forced to triage their response in order to save the most homes. Tonight, staffing has greatly improved. 26 more engines from out of state are here at the fire, and by Wednesday, National Guard troops will be moving in. They're going to be used as field crews. Reporting live in Santa Cruz County, Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
Thank you, Marianne. Well, help from above. CAL FIRE posted this video on Twitter. It shows the multiple helicopters working the CZU lightning complex fire in the Santa Cruz Mountains. You can see the aircrafts are just coming in one right after the other to pick up water to drop on the flames. tweet notes they also have eyes above the helicopters. That's how they're filming this, to make sure those pilots and the crew members are safe as they're doing this.
In the South Bay and the East Bay, a lot of people have their go bags ready. The SCU fire has grown to more than 347,000 acres. It's now 10% contained. Now, evacuation warnings continue for parts of the Tri-Valley and Santa Clara County. In Morgan Hill now, the South Bay, hundreds of evacuated residents can only watch and worry as that SCU fire gets closer to town. Right now, that fire is churning through East Santa Clara County. CAL FIRE crews are carving out dozer lines as a buffer to try to keep flames away from the Morgan Hill communities, including the Jackson Oaks and Holiday Lakes estates. Some people tell us, though, they just can't believe all of this is happening.
When it hits home, it is a shock. It's hard reality when it's imminent.
Hitting home for a lot of us. Morgan Hill already dodged another fire last week coming from a different direction. That, though, was contained before it could reach town. Coming up at 6 o'clock, NBC's Robert Honda will join us with more on another growing worry, looters right there in Morgan Hill and Scotts Valley area.
Okay, let's go up to the North Bay at this hour. The LNU complex fire has burned more than 350,000 acres. The fire is 22% contained. 5 people have died, 2 in Napa County, 3 in Solano County. And tonight, the family of the Napa County victims is urging neighbors to listen to evacuation orders. NBC Bay Area's Jody Hernandez joins us from the burn zone with more on their story and sharing their grief tonight. Jody.
So sad. Several families are dealing with the unthinkable, the loss of a loved one. We talked to one man who lost the person he was closest with, his mother.
She was one of the most caring people that I've ever met. I mean, I'm hoping if I can get half of that in myself.
Robert McNeil is dealing with the loss of his mother. He says his best friend. 70-year-old Mary Hintmeyer died last week along with her boyfriend Leo McDermott and Leo's son Tom McDermott when the LNU lightning complex fire swept through their Napa County home.
They called the planes off, and the next thing you know, the thing re-erupted and it went through that whole canyon, and nobody had a chance.
McNeil says his mother drove out to the roadblock but came back for her boyfriend, who was in a wheelchair. She texted a photo of the fire and said they might have to go into the root cellar. Then the text messages stopped. Mary, Leo, and Tom did seek refuge inside what they called their root cellar, basically a makeshift fire shelter built into the side of a hill. This is where searchers found their remains.
How scared she was. I mean, her biggest fear was actually burning, and she didn't even want to be cremated. And that's pretty much the way things ended up.
The only belonging McNeil could find of his mom's was a porcelain trinket. He wants others to understand the importance of heeding evacuation warnings and not to be fooled into thinking you can survive.
Don't worry about your stuff. Your family's going to have to deal with the aftermath of you not getting out. And that's way worse than losing your property. It is.
We're back here live in the burn zone where this fire blew through here really without any warning. Again, 5 people have lost their lives in this LNU complex fire, 3 in Napa County, 2 in Solano County. Reporting live, I'm Jody Hernandez, NBC Bay Area News.
And it's heartbreaking for that family. We do appreciate him talking with us, and especially talking with Jody there. Here are some good news. No more red flag warnings in the North Bay. The entire town of Healdsburg was under an evacuation warning, but predicted lightning strikes and high winds. It never materialized. CAL FIRE officials giving us their briefing today. They were relieved with the break in the weather and the additional resources coming in. But firefighters also reminding everyone that things can change quickly. One woman who grew up in the North Bay and evacuated over the weekend tells us many of her friends lost their homes just west of Healdsburg. She's hoping the fire doesn't get any closer to downtown.
There's people here that own small businesses that have worked so hard for everything they have.
CAL FIRE is urging people to just follow the evacuation orders and the warnings and just be ready to get out in a moment's notice. Well, evacuation orders and those warnings are changing by the day, and very often changing by the hour. Chris Camaro is with us, keeping track of all this for us. It's a lot going on just because there's 4 real spots in the Bay Area that we're all under here.
And so many people. Let me show you what you're just talking about, Raj. Here's Healdsburg. In yellow, we have the evacuation warnings. In red, we have the evacuation orders. And there has been a shift. The red you see here in the center, these red spots, these are hot spots based on thermal imaging, indicating where the fires likely are or have been over the past couple of hours. So you can see a consolidation essentially right here. However, as you noted, Raj, the situation can change very quickly. But I do have good news. Pushing toward the Pacific Ocean, we have a evacuation warning here, and that has been evacuation order rather that has been downgraded to an evacuation warning. So this is what's called 1D2 if you know the area. So it's around let's see here, according to CAL FIRE, east of the Sonoma coast, north of the Russian River, west of Myers Grade Road, and south of Fort Ross Road. Also over here, right up against the Pacific Ocean. Let's go look at the SCU fire for just a moment, and you can see the size of it is just massive, especially when you map it at the same time as the CZU fire over here. As we were talking about earlier in the newscast, there are concerns up to the north and to the south. Jeff's going to show you that on a map in just a minute here, but that's where we see the evacuation warnings. And as Roger was mentioning earlier, here's that tense and worrisome situation in Morgan Hill where they have evacuation warnings right up against evacuation orders. Do stay tuned.
Okay, thanks so much, Chris. Well, hazy skies blanketing the Bay Area once again. Live look at Palo Alto along 101, the unhealthy air prompting people to buy up air purifiers to clean up the bad air that has seeped inside their homes. The shelves at a Target in San Francisco used to be full of purifiers and fans. Now they're basically empty. Even some online stores say they're currently unable to deliver air purifiers. If you already have one, doctors say they aren't perfect, but can help keep the air in your home a little cleaner. And another tip, if bad air is getting inside your home through a door or window that doesn't seal completely, try to use a towel to cover up that tiny gap. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Jeff Ranieri. We've been dealing with bad air for days now. When will we see some relief?
Well, we're starting to see a little bit at the immediate coastline, which is good news near the beaches. I think some fog tomorrow morning will stir it up a little bit, but will remain in that unhealthy category definitely through tomorrow. And look, last night and early this morning, we dodged a bullet. We had thunderstorms blowing up across the Central Valley, the Sierra foothills, getting real close to the Bay Area, but we didn't have any lightning strikes, so that was some good news. We even got a few showers. I wanted to show you the Doppler radar loop, and you can see as this loops around, look at all of the lightning strikes that we had here across the Sierra and also the Central Valley. Here we go. It's going to start to loop around here in about 3 seconds, right about now. And take your eye right there to the Interstate 5 corridor, and you can see right there quite a few lightning strikes in those early morning hours. So again, we got real lucky on that. Smoke for the interior valleys, but look at this, the coastline starting to clear out with some blue sky and a little bit of fog beginning to mix in at the current moment. Our fire forecast here across the 3 main fire zones, we'll see some cooler weather tomorrow, wind gusts of only 20 miles per hour, so that's also some good news for firefighters. I'll take you with a real close look of those fire lines in the forecast coming up in about 10 minutes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Well, this isn't normal. We've had more than 7,000 fires in California so far this year, almost doubled what we had last year at this time. And specifically, Janelle, we're talking about that fire in San Mateo County and Santa Cruz County now. Yeah, the governor addressed that fire specifically today. And what makes it different than the other hundreds of fires raging around California? Jessica Aguirre joins us with the details. Jessica.
Well, Raj and Janelle, Raj is right. I mean, the governor actually opened his daily news briefing today with those startling numbers, saying we've had 7,002 fires this year, and we're not even midway through fire season when last year we had something like 4,200 fires. 14,000 firefighters are on the front lines battling 625 fires. He says this moment is historic for us. The governor also pointing out that there have been 13,000 lightning strikes since mid-August. He says it's really unusual weather, and the governor believes it points to one very specific phenomenon, especially when it comes to that CZU fire which is burning in San Mateo and Santa Cruz County.
This is a coastal fire, primarily along the coast near the Santa Cruz Mountains, in forests, a lot of redwoods that have simply never seen forest fires because of the weather conditions and the like. Again, a proof point that we are in a different climate and we are dealing with different climate conditions that are precipitating in fires likes which we haven't seen in modern recorded history, in dense forests that are well covered and have been historically immune from significant fires.
So the governor there pointing to climate change as maybe what's happening in terms of this wildfire season and some of the fires that we're seeing. Governor says there's 17 major fires in the state. All the resources are being used, including mutual aid from out across the state and from out of state. Lots of resources coming in.